Greeting, boys and girls. It's good to be back with you again. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and that your early part of the new year is going well. I know you're probably back in school now, and just pray that you're all doing well and look forward to being able to see all of you soon. I wanted to start back our Tuesday sessions with some reading together. And I thought for this year, for starting off the year in the right way, the best thing we could do would be to read the Bible. There are a lot of good books out there, boys and girls, and if you ever come in my office, you'll see so many books around, some of them just literature books, and some of them books with just lots of pictures in them. I love books, and I have since I was a kid, and I hope you love books too. I hope you enjoy reading. Because one of the ways that God has chosen to reveal himself to us is through the written word in the Bible. And so the most important book you can read is the Bible. Of all the great books out there, and there are a lot of good books that I hope you get a chance to read in your life, but more than any other book, you need to be reading the Bible, and you need to read it every day. The Bible is God's word to us, and it's God's way of teaching us, of strengthening our faith. It's God's way of telling us about himself. We learn about Jesus, obviously, from the Bible, who we are, how we got here, why God made us. We learn all of those things from the Bible. But the Bible also has a lot of just practical wisdom for everyday living, boys and girls, because every day you're going to have to go out into the world and make decisions, and you're dealing with people. How do you act at school? All those things. And there's no better book in the Bible to teach us how to act than the book of Proverbs. And so I want to start a series today just reading through some Proverbs with you. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. So let's take a look at the book of Proverbs. And I have the New International Version that I'm reading if mom and dads are watching with us and following along. And if you want to read along with me, the NIV is what you're going to need. But let's begin looking at the book of Proverbs and just spend a couple of minutes on it today. From chapter 1. And the way the book of Proverbs begins, it says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for attaining wisdom and discipline, for understanding words of insight, for acquiring a disciplined and prudent life, doing what is right and just and fair." Now, we can stop right there, boys and girls, for just a minute, because there's a lot of information we're already given. The first thing we need to know is, what is a proverb? We see this word Proverbs, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. So we're told who wrote them, Solomon. We'll talk about him in a minute. But what is a proverb? It's not a word we use a whole lot, but we know what proverbs are. We have proverbs in our own society that we use, and a proverb is just a saying that gives you wisdom. It's just a short saying that teaches you something very important. One of the proverbs that we learn sometimes as children here was, I think, written by one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, if I remember it correctly. And the proverb simply says, "Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Now, we could argue about the truth of that proverb, but that's just a short saying that tries to teach us something true. You should go to bed early and get up early, and that will be better for your life overall. There are other proverbs we have in our own culture, but a proverb is just a little saying that tries to teach you something in terms of wisdom or knowledge. Now, we're told here that Solomon wrote these proverbs. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David. And we all remember King David and all the wonderful things that he did. Well, Solomon was his son, and Solomon became king of Israel after David. And in 1 Kings chapter 3, we're told something very important about Solomon. One night, God came to Solomon as the king of Israel, and he said, "Ask me what you wish for me to give to you." Now, boys and girls, I want you to think about this. What would you ask God for if God simply came to you and said, "Ask me anything you want and I'll give it to you"? And you probably are thinking of all kinds of things you could ask for. Some of them might be good things, and some of them might not be such good things. But you know what Solomon asked for from God? He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for fame. He didn't ask for wealth or riches or to live 150 years. He didn't ask for anything like that. Do you know what Solomon said? He said, God, you've made me the king over your people Israel, and I am just a little child. I don't know anything. I don't know how to rule these people. And so these are people that are so vast and they're hard to rule over. So I want you to give me wisdom and an understanding heart so that I can judge your people and discern between good and evil, because I can't do this on my own. And do you know what? God was very happy with what Solomon had asked him. Instead of asking for something for himself, he asked for something that would help him be a better king for his people. So God said, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you wisdom. And so all of these proverbs that we see from Solomon are things that God taught him, things that are true because God gave him that kind of wisdom. Now, you know, the Bible teaches us that if anyone wants wisdom from God, we can ask for it and he'll give it to us. And so James chapter 1 verse 5 tells us that. So we need wisdom from God, and we want to have wisdom from God. One of the ways God will give that wisdom to us is by reading the Proverbs of the Bible. Now, one of the things we need to ask ourselves too, boys and girls, is what is wisdom? Now, I think you understand what knowledge is, but the text tells us, right, that Solomon wrote these Proverbs for 3 reasons. He wanted us to have wisdom and discipline and understanding. He wanted us to know things. He wanted us to know how to use that knowledge in our daily lives, and he wanted us to do what was right. He wants us to live in a way that is just. And so those are the reasons he gave them to us. So wisdom is one of the things he wants us to have. So what is wisdom? Well, you know what knowledge is? Knowledge is knowing how to, having the intellectual knowledge of something. Knowledge means you just know something. But wisdom means you know how to use it and how to put it to work. Now, let me illustrate it like this. My son Samuel's learning how to drive right now. And Samuel, I take him out on the road and he practices. Now, Samuel can do everything it takes to drive a car. He can mash the gas pedal to make the car go. He can mash the brake to make the car stop. He can turn the wheel to make the car go right or left or straight ahead. He knows how to adjust his mirrors so he can see what's coming behind him. He knows all of those things. But you know what he doesn't know? He doesn't always know when to stop or go, or when to wait. Pulling out on a busy road, should I go? Should I wait? I know how to make the car go, but should I go right now? That's wisdom. He has the knowledge. Now he's got to learn how to use it and how to put it into practice when he's out on the road. So what Solomon is going to teach us as we continue to read these Proverbs is how to have not just knowledge, but wisdom as well. So boys and girls, I want you to stay with me through this study. Over the next few Tuesdays, we'll be looking at these Proverbs, and you can read some at home with mom and dad. You know, there are 31 chapters in Proverbs, and many of our months have 31 days. If you read a chapter of Proverbs once a day, you'll have a chapter for every day of our longest months. And that's a good habit to get into, boys and girls. So I hope you will, again, follow along with our study, and I hope you'll read the Bible with your moms and dads and read in the book of Proverbs and follow along. Okay, now the question we'll start looking at next week is, how do we begin to have knowledge or wisdom? How do we begin this journey of learning knowledge and wisdom? And we'll answer that question next week. So I want you to try to answer that question as you look at Proverbs with mom and dad. How do I begin to learn wisdom and knowledge? Okay, I love you, boys and girls. I've been missing seeing you. I know we haven't been able to be at church in a while. I've been sick, and many other people have been sick, but we're all getting better, Lord willing. And so we're back at church now. So I hope to see you Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you then. Okay, bye bye.